Hello everybody. So tonight I'm gonna share another character story with you. Her name's Li Wan. They told her to disappear. The girls made her president. Li Wan and the woman who couldn't write poetry. Why did the girl choose the woman who said she couldn't write poetry to lead the poetry society? That's a question, because in Dream of the Red Chamber, the most brilliant young woman in the garden formed a literary club. They have poets, they have prodigies, they have girls who can turn a flower into a prophecy. They have girls who can make a room go silent with one line. Then they choose a young widow, a woman who openly say, I can't write poetry. They make her president. Why? The answer is not Li Wan is boring. It's she understands something that poets don't yet understand. Talent can make a moment beautiful, but somebody has to make the moment survive. Somebody has to create the room, set the rhyme, protect the people inside it, decide what matters. Know when competition has become cruelty. Know when beauty is becoming performance. Know when enough is enough. Li Wan is not the loudest woman in the garden. She is the woman who makes the garden possible. The woman society trained him to vanish. Li Wan was born into an educated family. Her father was an important scholar and educator. Her relatives read books. They know poetry, they knew history. But when it came to Li Wan, education had a limit. She was taught enough to recognize the story of virtuous woman, enough to read moral instruction, enough to behave properly, but not enough to become intellectually dangerous. Her father believed for women lack of talent is a virtue. Think about how strange that is. Her family believes in learning, but not in her learning too much. They want her literate, but not independent, cultured, but not authoritative, educated, but not difficult. Then she married young. Her husband died young. She had a son, and the novel described her as living in luxury, yet becoming like withered wood and dead ash. That's one of the most brutal sentences in the book. Not dead, not free, not grieving in public, just expected to become emotionally finished. The world doesn't ask Li Wan, what do you want now? It asks, can you be quiet? Can you raise your son? Can you stop being a problem? That's what makes her story modern. A woman doesn't need to be physically dead for society to treat her life as complete. Sometimes she simply moves into another category: widow, mother, divorcee, caretaker, middle-aged woman, the woman who used to have a future. And once people put you in a category, they stop asking what you are still becoming. Then she walked into the room and volunteers to lead. One day, Jatan sends out invitation to create a poetry society. The girl gathered in her room. Everyone excited. They talk about poems, memes, they talk about making a new word. Then Li Wan walks in. She said, how elegant! If you are starting a poetry society, I nominate myself to preside over it. Then she admitted something almost heartbreaking. She said she had wanted to begin a poetry society months earlier, in spring. The soul had already come to her. But she stopped herself. She saw, I can't write poetry. What I'm doing interfering. This is the moment that makes Li Wan unforgettable. Because she has an idea, she has taste, she has social elegance, intelligence, she has the instinct to build a gathering. But she has been told that unless she's the most talented artist in the room, she has no right to lead. How many women know that voice? The voice that say, I'm not the expert, I'm not genius, I'm not the one people come to see. Maybe I should stay behind the scenes. But the girl don't let her disappear. They need her. But the girl, not because she's the best point, but because she's the person who understands that art is not only about producing something beautiful. It's about creating a world where beautiful things can happen. The most important artist is not always the one holding the brush. She becomes the president of the Poetry Society, not mascot, not chaperone, not the woman who brings snacks. President, she offered her home, Rice Fragrance Village as a gathering place. She creates roles, she proposes vice presidents. One person will choose topics and drawing schemes. One person will copy poems and supervise the contest. They will meet on fixed days. There will be rules, playful penalties. There will be a rhyme. There is no background work. This is a culture of power. Every artist knows this, even if we don't say it enough. A film needs a producer. Li Wan is a person. She's the original creator, the original producer, the woman who understands the genius alone doesn't create culture. Culture began when someone said, "Come back next week. Bring your work. We will listen. There will be standards." This is what she gives the girls, not freedom from their work, a place where their inner life become public to one another. Why her authority is also a tragedy. We have to ask the uncomfortable question. Why is she allowed to become president? Why did the girl trust her? Why others tolerate her authority? Partly, of course, because she's older, steady, feared, and respected. But partly because society had already made her safe. She's a widow, she's no longer treated as a young woman who might compete for love, beauty, marriage, or attention. She has been socially quiet. That's a dark irony. The garden gave her authority after the outside world had taken away the thing that made her seem dangerous. This is not only an old Chinese problem. Women still know it. A woman will maybe called too much when she's young, ambitious, sexual, emotional, visibly wanting something. Then later, when she's no longer seen as a threat, people say, "No, she's wise, she's trustworthy, she's leadership material." But why did she have to become less visible as a woman before she could become visible as a mind? Li Wan's presidency is beautiful, but it's not innocent. She gains authority after being asked to bury part of her life. That's why the story hurts. A young woman calls herself the Old Farmer. When the Poetry Society gave everyone a literary name, Li Wan chose the Old Farmer of Rice Fragrance. She's not old, she's not a farmer. She lives in a wealthy family, so why this name? Because society had already forced her to become old before her time. She has been told to stop being a young woman with a future. So she takes the forced oldness and turns it into something else, not decay. Cultivation. A farmer who doesn't need to be glamorous. A farmer doesn't need to be the center of the party. A farmer knows seasons, knows patience, knows that growth is slow, knows that not every seed become a flower. The things need tending even no one is watching. This is one of the deepest Chinese ideas inside her character. In the garden, the highest form of power is not always conquest. Sometimes it's cultivation, not controlling people, helping something become what it has become. She can't restore her own lost life, but she can help others grow. She can become the heroine of a romance again, but she can become the person who gives other young women a world in which they are more than future wives. That's not a small consolation, it's a different kind of legacy. The first time she judges a girl, she doesn't flatten them. At the poetry competition, everyone writes under the same rules, the same topic, the same time limit. Bao says something important. She might not write poetry well, but she knows how to read it. And she is the fairest among us. Everyone agrees. Li Wan reads poems. This is where she becomes more than a host. She becomes a critic. She doesn't just say the one win, the one lose. She sees the difference between the poems. She gave them language for their differences without turning difference into the crime. That's what good criticism does. It doesn't rank people because one personality is more acceptable. It helps people become more precise about what they are. That's why she is a cultural authority. She teaches the garden how to admire without reducing. The funniest thing, she turns a rough line into art. The girls are writing a linked poem on a snowy day. Everyone is dressed beautifully. They were around a warm fire. They are making art in the middle of winter. Then Wang Xifeng, in charge of the house, appears. She's not a poet. She's busy running the household. She laughs and says, I have only one rough line. After that, I know nothing. Her line is, I night when tightened. That's it. 5 words. Plain, blunt. The girls pause. Then they realize it is perfect. It gets the next poem room. It opens a door. It creates space for everyone else. Li Wan writes it down at the beginning of the poem. The small scene tells you everything about her. She doesn't treat art as a club for people already know they belong. She hears a rough, ordinary line from a practical woman and knows it can be the first breath of a collective poem. That's what a real cultural leader does. She doesn't ask, are you polished enough to enter? She asks, is there something alive here? Can this become part of the whole? A lot of people think culture belongs to the most talented people in the room. She understands that culture belongs to a person who recognizes the beginning of something before anyone else does. What Li Wan teach us about enough. Her taste is not flashy. She doesn't compete to be the brightest. Her intelligence is in proportion, in rising, in knowing when to let someone speak, when to make a joke, when to protect someone's embarrassment, when to turn a room from chaos into a shared form. This is a different model of power from what modern culture often celebrates. We love the person who wins, the person who goes viral, the person who says the most dramatic thing. But she offers another kind of greatness. The greatness of making a space where other people don't have to perform their pain in order to be seen. The greatness of giving people a form that doesn't crush them. The greatness of saying you don't have to be the loudest person here, but what you can make can still matter. She's not a woman whose life was over. She's the woman whose life was pushed underground. The world took her youth and called that virtue. It took her desire and called that dignity. It took her future and called that duty. But inside the garden, something changed. The girl don't ask her, who were you married to? Why are you so quiet? Have you gotten over it? They ask, will you lead us? What do you think? Which poem is true? How should we build this world? And for a while, this is enough to bring her back into history. Not as a video, not as a warning, not as someone who has already finished living, but as a woman who made a fragile world of girls last long enough to become unforgettable. She didn't write the most beautiful poems. She made sure beauty had a place to live. Thanks for listening. Next time it'll be another character. Looking forward to it. Thank you.